libres. Bailamos, bailamos, bailamos por 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 libres.
Welcome back to season 6, where we profile women who are walking in their God-given purpose. Today's show is going to be so amazing. But let me first say thank you, Teresa J., for allowing us to bring your music to the podcast for this season. It's so global as we are touching women around the world. This young lady who is with us today is very, very special to me. You know, we haven't known each other that long, but we were line sisters, so you'll find out what that means later on. But right now, I'm just going to call her a survivor to a queen. She is the amazing, beautiful, also a woman from Florida. Her name is Amanda Paulina. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me, and thank you so much for such a warm introduction. I really appreciate it.
You are such a beautiful soul. I got to spend 3 days with this young lady. And let me tell you, it was 3 days of back to back, like we were stuck together like glue. And you'll hear a little bit about that probably later in the show. I'm so glad you came on the show. You have so much to offer. Can you just share with everyone who you are in Miss Corporate America and what city you represent? And let's start there.
Yes. So I am Miss Corporate America, West Palm Beach 2025. And that is where I had the honor and the privilege to get to know you and spend 3 fabulous days standing next to each other in line. And it's just been a great experience. I got to, wear the title of Corporate America the last decade of my life, being in the finance world, and just shaking things up now and doing some different stuff.
All right. So we're going to get into that. We're going to shake it up a little bit. She is walking in her God-given purpose. She is a queen. She has an amazing disposition about her. So when you meet her, you just instantly smile. And I enjoyed spending 3 days with her. So Amanda Paulina, let's talk about what goes on in your city. What are you doing right now from day to day? And how did you get to where you are now, walking in your purpose?
So for me, my day to day, is like, I get up at between like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I do a meditation, walk my dog, have that like silence of, I live right in the heart of downtown West Palm Beach. So just getting out before, the sun even rises and really getting to take it all in, walk the intercoastal, get my day going, and then go back, have some coffee, and then do some spiritual practices. And then for work, I go out and I teach work-life balance solutions in the corporate office. And then I do one-on-one personal healing. And I recently relocated to West Palm Beach. So I'm learning everything about the culture and the history. But what I really like about being in West Palm Beach is how everybody is always outside and very active. I totally believe like you need to see the sun. You need to be outside, have a community of people. And, one of the reasons why I joined the pageant was so I could have a community of strong women carry me through and to have a bigger network, just because we're not all geographically right next to each other. We still rally and come together. And I didn't think that we were going to be like on a daily text messaging thread. Like I kind of thought, okay, this is gonna be a fun little competition, and like I'll pass out my business cards, and maybe one person will sign up for course.
It's turned into a family. For those of you who are listening, what she's talking about is the ladies who came out of this pageant with us. We have an amazing queen who you may meet this summer. Her name is Jessica, and we are all queens because we represent different cities. And so when we left, that's not where it stopped. We have gained this sisterhood of group text message globally, and we collaborate on a number of events in community with our sisters around the state. So you said that you used to work in finance. How did you move from finance to wellness?
Well, so part of like my big story is that I am a childhood abuse survivor. And so that I ended up having complex PTSD since I was a very young child, which gave me a lot of health problems for always being in the fight or flight mode. So I have a stress disorder, it's PTSD. So of course I decide to overstress myself and get into one of the most stressful careers. Not even thinking about my limitations because, I'm intellectually very smart. I can do that job, but doing that job meant I couldn't do anything else. So I'd go to work, I'd make the money, come home, and I would sleep and wouldn't be able to enjoy my weekend or enjoy myself. And I'd have the Sunday scaries, and there was no balance. I wasn't eating right. I was working too much or too stressed out. And I can go either way, like on the food scale thing. I can either not eat at all, or I can eat too much when I'm stressed out. But when I was in the corporate world and it was all about getting that next sale and, being, quote unquote, Taylor Swift, being the man, like you don't think about what that is actually doing to your long-term health. And when I turned 30, I had like this awakening period where it was like, wait a minute, this stuff isn't really working for me anymore. And I need to heal myself. I went through premenopause from all the stress hormones and changes in my body. And I was just very, very physically and mentally sick. And so all the doctors just were saying, well, you have PTSD. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But I've known that since I was a very small child, but could you help me like get through this? And, besides like taking a pill here and there, that could kind of work, but it's not like great. Nobody was explaining anything to me. So I ended up going and starting doing meditation, and I had my brain scanned and mapped out. And, it all fired up saying I had PTSD. And I was reading all these books and saw TED Talks about how meditation can rewire your brain and help you metabolize the PTSD and get your cognitive thinking back and to help get your body out of that fight or flight mode. So I started practicing that, and I could feel the change, and I had my brain scanned again, and, I could see the science behind it and the significant improvement. And that was like the step one of that healing journey, right? That was just the tip of the iceberg, getting to realize and accepting, okay, this is like a disease that I have, but I had to, keep pulling back all the layers of the onion to get to the core of who I am and who I was meant to be. And for me, meditation has allowed me to be able to move through the feelings and process the trauma that had happened to me, and to really get connected with what is my purpose. And the more in the last 5 years of stepping further and further away from doing finance, it's becoming more and more clear to me that it's about having my voice and speaking for survivors of childhood trauma, and that there are tools that we can prevent this, so another child doesn't have to go through what I went through. So that's a lot, and it just kind of went there. But so the last 2 years, I quit finance, and I do go in and do corporate work-life balance stuff, because like I was saying in the beginning, I have the ability to do my job, but the company structure isn't structured for somebody that has PTSD to be able to manage the stress and the time commitment. So it's like, and with the pandemic, we all could see now that we didn't have to be at our desks from like 9 to 5.
Right.
So that flexibility. And then all of a sudden companies wanted you to start going back. And it was like, well, I need these flexible hours because I need to be able to take care of myself. I need to be able to recharge and regroup so that I can be present with my family. And
smart of you.
Cultural thing that, you know, some corporate offices that are on board, and then other ones, they're slowly trying to get there, but I'm trying to help at least bridge the gap, have the conversation there, bring a little meditation to the office so they can get a taste of it. But
I love that.
I got into it anyway.
What a gift. What a gift. What if there were ladies who are watching today who have never participated in meditation? You know, what could you tell to that lady what would they expect? You know, if they're diving into this for the first time, and I know people have heard of meditation, they've heard of yoga, people have their perceptions of what things are and what they aren't, right? What would you say to that young lady who may consider calling you to say, I want to sign up for one of your courses or for one of your getaways? What would you say to that newbie?
Well, I think that if you already kind of the inclination and you picked up the phone, then you should just jump right into it. And that the biggest thing and the biggest fear that people have is that they're not going to be able to turn off their thinking. So they judge the experience. And really, it's not a tool to make you stop thinking. It's to help you slow down your thinking so you can detach your feelings from your thoughts, and let the things go that really don't matter at the end of the day. And you can meditate because it's all about breathing. So, you know, if you can take a deep breath in and you can take a deep breath out, you can meditate. And so just be easy on yourself. It's a practice and build up to it. I always suggest, you know, when you're first starting out, go onto one of the apps and do like their 30-day meditation, follow along to my YouTube videos and Instagram, you know, and other guided meditations. And then you'll find what really works for you, but do it in small doses, you know, start off at a minute and then 5 minutes and work your way up. But you don't have to sit there for 2 hours in complete silence to be considered, you know, somebody that meditates. It can be, there's some days I always meditate first thing when I wake up, but some days it's really just me like opening my eyes, knowing them awake, closing them, and just taking a deep breath in and holding it and then letting it out. And like, that's just enough to help me get through the day and pause before I react to something. And I think, especially for women who have children at home and loved ones at home that you're taking care of, the last thing you can do is when you're shifting from your work environment to your family environment, take 5-10 minutes and meditate. And for me, and that's what my ex would always be like, Amanda, what are you doing in the car, like, and sitting in the driveway? And I'm like, I'm meditating before I come in the house so I can be present.
So you can be your best person, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, like, what do you do before you come home? So I mean, it's those little things, but just start off little, and just like how it's routine for you to get up in the morning and brush your teeth, you know, your meditation will be right there. But,
yeah, almost like the Waze app. When you're pulling up to your destination, the Waze app says you have arrived. Before you depart your car, take a deep breath. You know, and I think maybe that should be standard, because I was married for 27 years. So I would always sit in my car just like, okay, let me just sit here for a minute. So maybe that should be standard when they sell cars. Something on the visor that says, sit here for 5 minutes and take a deep breath, a couple of deep breaths. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So you work in this space and you help people to relax and to really kind of get rid of that which isn't serving them or serving their inside that may be making them sick. Um, do you provide programs virtually? Do you provide programs in person?
So I offer a few different, so I do virtual programs.
Mhm.
So I like to do, I have a 6-week course for both individuals and for corporate offices. So I
Mhm.
go through the 6-week period. First, we started off doing some stress tests, see where your body's at, how you're feeling. And then weekly, I give daily assignments to do, and we meet once a week and we'll do the meditation. And then each plan is a little bit tailored and can be more customized. So you can add on things where you get a 5-minute meditation from me every day versus just having the one weekly check-in. But it's all really like a program to really shift your mindset and live the best life for you and live in your purpose. And and for me, that's, it's about everything you're putting in your body, your food, what you're working out, having who's in your community,
Mm.
and the meditation piece. It's a full program. It's not just going in and doing like the meditation.
I love that. It is a full program for healing. And you hit the nail right on the head. Food is so critical to just everything that you do, especially being able to, I guess, find or center yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I don't know about you, but I've heard so many stories about how much sugar we eat, so, I know you're not a nutritionist, but do you walk people through that and say, here's some suggestions that I have for you?
Yes. So what I teach is mindful eating, right? So
Okay.
let's look at the scale of how hungry you are. And
Mm,
then, when you're really hungry, how does that make you feel? And then
mm,
what you go and eat. Okay. And then when you're really like, be mindful of when your body starts to tell you that you're hungry, because when
mm,
you're eating, you usually take 2 or 3 more bites of food, like big bites of food, after your body has already signaled that it's full.
mm,
But we're
mm,
too busy talking and being not present to what we're eating and doing, that we're overeating.
mm,
So, and then it's, I still feel like you need a full team, right? I'm not going to come, I won't give you a diet plan,
yeah.
but we'll talk about making healthy choices. And if you need, like, my best friend's a dietitian, so I can always refer you somebody, and for the working out, like I have some free at home activities that you can do to like incorporate into your life, right? So when I walk my dog, we'll walk down 1 block, then I'll do 25 squats,
Mhm,
and then
mhm,
I'll walk and do push-ups or something like that. So I can make those type of plans, but I also, it's like, well, get your personal trainer too, right? You should have a team of people. You're going to have your therapist, you're going to have your doctor, have the person that's going to help with your soul and your spirituality, and and have all these things, and have somebody just really overseeing your whole well-being. It's hard to
mhm.
stay like
Yeah.
healthy.
Oh, girl,
No.
who you telling? I'm almost 60 years old. And I wake up every morning like, whew, I'm glad I'm not hurting. Because I look at other people who are my age, and I absolutely know that food will really, it'll destroy your legs.
It's like the inflammation. It's awful.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So that's another story for another day. But I could take the time right here to ask you in regards to the senior community.
Mhm.
Do you spend any time with seniors, or do you have a certain demographic that you work with?
I do work with seniors. I actually used to take care of a family member that had dementia. And we had a really good little program going. And for that, just from my personal experience, one of the joys I always had taking care of him was we have a protein shake in the morning, go for a little walk, be in the nature, ask them, can you spot something that's red or green? Do you hear the bird chirping? Because it's really all about being like mindful and then helping them, like just being like just doing some breathing and even like sound bath healing stuff that can really help. And the music, I always found too, like if there would be like an outburst or something, redirecting to music and singing always seemed to calm the situation, redirect the thinking. And so yeah, but especially too, even if you're caretaking for somebody with dementia, that's when you really need to like put the self-care into overdrive and put the boundaries up,
Absolutely.
And it's so difficult being a caretaker because it's somebody that you love and you cherish and you're going through your stuff and you're watching somebody. So
yeah. You got to do the meditation actually for two people and the food for two people, and the thinking for two people. So you're doing an amazing job in community. I'm so excited that you are part of this amazing organization. So excited to meet you as well. Before you get off the podcast, I want to have you share the amazing thing that you have just shared with our sisters here in the state of Florida that you were offering. So if you would like to share it here on the podcast, you are welcome to do that.
All right. Thank you. So I am co-hosting a women's retreat, Root to Rise. It's going to be August 8th to the 10th. And right now it just opened up and we're doing early bird pricing for $888. We only have, we have limited spots and they are going quick, but it did just launch today, which is May 15th. I'm not sure when this is airing, but the price does go up June 1st. But hopefully you can come. It's a 3-day all-inclusive women's retreat for healing.
I love it. Amanda, thank you for coming on. You are an unshakable woman. And I am just so ecstatic for you walking in your purpose and helping women in Florida and collaboration. You are doing it all. For those who are listening, either on Spotify or on some of our platforms, can you share how they can find you?
And Amanda Paulina Meditation. And that's for all the handles. So.
Okay. And for those of you who have followed me for years, and I know you're working while you're listening or you're walking, we will have the contacts on the socials so you can connect right with Amanda. And of course, we want you, especially if you're in Florida, we want you to apply for her program and go and enjoy nature with her and some other sisters. Thank you so much for coming on. Any last thoughts to a young lady who needs to position or pivot from survivor to queen? Someone who may be listening and they're still in that survivor mode and they want to get to queen mode. What would you say to that lady?
I would say, look yourself in the mirror and say, I am a queen, and just walk through the fear. And it's so much better on the other side, but definitely do it. And it's worth it.
Absolutely. Great way to close. Thank you again to our special guests. And thank you to those who have been with us for 6 seasons. Thank you for tuning in. You can listen to any other podcast, but we love you for spending time with us. Until next week, continue to walk in love, forgiveness, and of course, live unshakable. Don't forget to follow Amanda Paulina, and don't forget to sign up for her amazing program here in the state of Florida. Follow her on socials and follow us as well. Have a wonderful, unshakable week. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.